excited to have a guest on today that knows Michael Jackson's fashion more than anyone else I know. Shane, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
He currently runs an account on Instagram that you guys might know called MJ's Got the Look. And I'm going to introduce you guys to him because he's got a lot of experience when it comes to Michael Jackson fashion. Kind of accidentally, he ended up working with Michael Bush, who dressed Michael Jackson for years, the majority, I would say, of his adult solo career. He ended up working with Michael Bush on the 2012 Exhibition World Tour, and that was basically promoting a large collection of Michael Jackson clothing. Fun fact, I actually went to the exhibition when it was in Tokyo, not the one in the UK.
That's the only one I didn't go to.
Yeah. But so just to run down, you were an 18-year-old filmmaking student. You had run into Michael Bush and started talking to him, right? And
Pretty
you
much,
asked,
yeah. I
yeah?
sent an email actually to Julien's auctions because they were obviously overseeing the auction of the collection of Tompkins and Bushes they were referring to it as. I was about to be 18 and I said to them, I would love to interview Michael Bush. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. You send lots of similar emails to lots of people and never really get too far. And actually Darren Julien, who's like president, CEO of Julien's, emailed me back like the next day and said, yeah, we can. If you can get yourself to Dublin, so I'm based in London, so not too far away, like an hour flight. We can give you 20 minutes with him and yeah, we can use the footage, you can use the footage and everybody benefits mutually really. So yeah, that's where it all began.
That's amazing. That's so cool that they actually wrote back. Like you said, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't really have a next bit.
Yeah, it's like, okay, wait, okay, I guess I got to book a flight now.
Exactly, yeah.
So basically you went there, you had this session where you interviewed and chatted with Michael Bush.
Yeah.
And you ended up, from what I understand, kind of correcting him on some of the tours and the dates and the costume details and everything.
Very politely, but yeah.
Which I feel like is a lot of us Michael Jackson fans, like, we're like, okay, wait, that was this day or that day. But it's so cool that you had all this knowledge and he ended up being impressed by it and was like, you know more about these costumes than I do. And so he decided to keep you around, and that's how you ended up working with him, right?
Yeah, I've actually still got him on tape saying that as well, so I'm holding on to that forever, where there's like this kind of moment of realization where he kind of goes off to one side and he goes, the costume's better than I do, which is, as weird as it might sound for a fan to know a lot of stuff, for him, I don't think he had the same connection to it. It was just a job, it was just clothes. Of course, very aware of the fact that it's Michael Jackson's clothes, but when you've done that for 30 years, you are going to get mixed up, Do you know what you were wearing on a certain date 15, 20 years ago? Probably not. I certainly don't. Right. So, yeah.
Especially not if it was work. I'm like, did I make that happen on that day? Probably. I think so.
Yeah. There's 123 nights on the Bad Tour. Did he wear a certain buckle on this? Maybe we have to look back. There's as much research as there is knowledge to all of this.
And so, okay, so you got a chance to meet with him. He was impressed by your knowledge, and kind of then what happened? What happened? How did you get involved with the actual exhibition?
So it was kind of discussed that there might be something in London for the exhibition. I was chatting to Bush and to Darren from Julien's and said, if anything does go forwards with that, of course I'd love to be involved. I kind of wasn't asking for any money. It was just like more than enough to have some involvement in that. And I met Bush in I'm sure it was the June of 2012. And across emails, kind of every week or two, kind of started to build up that the London thing was going to happen. And by September, it was kind of almost definite, but we couldn't talk about it. And then I think it was like the October that we actually opened it. So yeah, just constant emails, probably being quite annoying to them, to be honest, just kind of harassing them, saying, oh, can I please work on it? And Bush was kind of keen for me to be involved, and we got quite friendly and got to know each other fairly well. He actually kind of spent a lot of time with me, and he actually showed me through his book before it was even released.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, one morning I had to go to the shopping centre where they were doing the exhibition. It was just a room full of like flight cases and suitcases full of clothing, and pulling something out and saying, right, what's this? When was it worn? And which order does it go in? And it was pretty much just
Wow.
that.
What a dream for a Michael Jackson fan, right? Especially you that knew so much about the clothing. Because I think if I was in that situation, like I know some things, but I'm like, I'm not that familiar with the items, you know? So you must have been really like on cloud nine.
Yeah, I mean, we were pulling things out of cases that I didn't even anticipate still existed. I mean, the original Smooth Criminal suit from like Moonwalker came out of a
Wow.
suitcase, and I saw the jacket and assumed that it was from the Dangerous tour or the Bad tour, and then it had the pants with it, and it was
Wow.
kind of slightly yellowed as well from its age. And he said, "No, that is the one." And I was just like, "Wow, okay, you've got some serious stuff here."
Just so matter of fact, right?
Yeah, and like he had this stuff under his bed and in spare bedrooms at home, like because it was just stuff that he'd worked with over the years. We don't take great care of our clothes.
Michael Jackson passed away in 2009. In 2012, when this exhibition happened, it was kind of, I don't know, was it just kind of like to showcase the clothing and have like an event to bring people together, like to remember Michael, or was there like an end goal for this exhibition? Because I remember it toured, like I said, I went to the one in Japan, and I don't really recall like there being a point to it rather than it just being kind of like almost like a museum, like a temporary museum thing that people could go to.
So the truth is, it was all marketing for an auction of Bush selling a lot, not all, but a lot of the stuff that he'd created. Had some backlash from the community. To be honest, the fans were unhappy that some of this stuff was being sold. I understand that, and I kind of was in two minds the whole time whilst working on this exhibition, given its kind of end purpose.
Mhm.
But I always do say to people when asked about that particular auction, because there was a lot of stuff sold. First of all, for anything tour related, there's not just one. And Michael's estate has, I think it's 5 or 6 warehouses full of clothing, cars. They have pretty much one of everything. I know they have a Bad tour outfit,
Yeah.
they have a Dangerous tour outfit, History tour. They're not short on things that they could display.
Mhm.
And I think it's quite clear now, or it's certainly seeming unlikely, that we're going to get any kind of official exhibition or museum other than the occasional piece being on display in the Grammy Museum, because it just hasn't happened. I think we're, like 15 years plus now on since Michael passed, and we've not had
Yeah.
something. So, you know, whilst it's a fantastic idea to have this stuff displayed somewhere, first of all, you need the estate's involvement. You need to find a space big enough for it. There's a lot more to it than it being just a nice idea to display this stuff. Is it a shame that it got sold off? Yeah, it is. But the estate has plenty of things if they so wish to display.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the stuff that was sold, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but I have seen some things displayed, whether it be like at the Las Vegas show in MJ1, like they have a version of the Smooth Criminal suit. And
Yeah,
looking at it, I wouldn't be like, is this the one from Michael Bush or was this a second copy? Like, it's just, I mean, I know it's hard because a lot of people think of like these things as only having had one, but like you said, on tours, he's probably got 3 versions of the same jacket or even more.
yeah.
Um,
Even the
right?
Thriller jacket from the short film. There's still 2 of those. The pristine one was sold. The estate still has the kind of zombie distressed torn up one, which I think you probably saw recently actually at the
Yes.
I forget the name of
I
the
did.
event, but
This is Thriller. Prince Jackson's
yeah,
foundation, Hilale, did This is Thriller. And I saw the distress jacket and I just wanted to share. Someone left a funny comment and was like, why would they display this? This is in such horrible condition.
Oh
And
God.
I was like, oh, this is the zombie one. I was like, and if you compare it to the video, the rips are exactly the same. And they were like, well noted.
as soon as I saw the photos from that, I literally kind of got side by side and was looking at the rips and stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you because you have a page now. It's called MJ's Got the Look, and it's kind of like an archive, a visual archive of a lot of Michael's fashion. Um, and it's really fun. A lot of fans are really loving the engagement on there and just some of the facts that you share. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, yeah. So the page is something that I'm kind of really passionate about. It's hard to run, as I'm sure you know, doing what you do, to have something that's just really for fun whilst having a full-time job and an actual real life going on the side as well. But it's a hobby, and it's something that I kind of, no matter what, try to make time to do. And I really enjoy kind of the interactivity that I get from the fans now. It feels like it's become a small thing in the kind of fan community. And, we've got certain people that send us things, and people have, there was somebody recently sent me a Bad Tour Beat It jacket that was sold at auction, and it looked totally different to the jacket that was worn in any photo or footage that I'd seen. And so this fan said,
Wow.
I think it's fake. And to be honest, looking at it, I thought maybe it is. The zippers on it were like double the thickness. Some of the kind of metal studs on it, the number of them was different to any I'd seen before. And then totally by chance, whilst scrolling through Instagram just a couple of days ago, I found a picture of him wearing that jacket, and he wore it in Los Angeles on the Bad Tour at the very end of the tour. So it must have been made, I assume, quite quickly if the original got damaged. And I sent it to that person, and they were, oh, wow, I never thought I'd see him wearing this. But yeah, there's huge amount of time goes into researching some of the posts, because there's variations. You can get as detailed as looking at, the zippers are missing on this version of it, and really narrowing things down to when they were worn and when they were made. And yeah, it's a time-consuming hobby, but it's fun.
Yeah, that is super cool. So I want to get into a lot of the information that you know. Like, I think a lot of Michael Jackson fans admire the fashion, but they don't know much about it. So,
Yeah, did you want to ask something like specific or just general?
yes,
Okay, go.
yes, I have some specific questions for you. So, the fashion. So, I've heard throughout the years that, like, fashion, big part of Michael Jackson and his legacy, but like, how did this actually contribute to his overall image, like as a performer?
I think functionality was pretty much what everything that he wore kind of hung on in terms of style and design. He would say to Bush, if it looks great but it's not working for me, even if there's 80,000 people watching me, it's coming off. And there's footage of that exact thing happening. So there's one of I think it's the very first night of the Bad Tour, he comes out wearing a black version of the bodysuit, with the zipper kind of going diagonally across him. And he's wearing a kind of half glove, half arm brace, black leather thing that kind of goes around the fingers. And he cues Wannabe starting something. And I think I timed it at some point. I think less than 2 minutes into the song, he's kind of walking up and down the stage, and he just rips this thing off of his arm and just tosses it off the stage. And I've never seen any footage beyond the opening night of the tour of him wearing that thing
Wow.
on stage. So I think that
He
was
was
quite
serious about
short-lived.
it.
Yeah, anything that kind of hindered him, it was quite short-lived.
Okay, so what about things like the white glove, the white socks, sequin white glove? Debatable. But what about those?
Those are Swarovski crystals. They are not sequins.
Oh, sorry. See, that's why we have you here. We need the real deal, the knowledge.
In fact, actually, we'll take a break at some point. I actually have some of the crystals, so I can show you.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll pause at some point, and I'll go and grab those. So I think there were kind of multiple thoughts behind things like the glove and the socks. For example, why just one glove? You know, there's lots of thought on that. Pretty much what Bush told me was that the kind of thought behind that was, you know, 2 gloves is what everybody does. 1 glove is not what everybody wears. So purely on that, you notice it, you pay attention to it, and you question it, which makes you, you know, you're paying attention. It's kind of commanding your attention purely out of its oddity. There's a practical element to it too. You know, it would catch the light as he's performing. So, you know, if he's wearing a black jacket, but you just have the white hand here with the glove, you know, if it goes out here, your eye is kind of programmed to follow light. So you're going to look at, you know, the hand movements. You're going to see, you know, the socks. And if he didn't have the short trousers, you know, if they were just hanging over the loafers, you know, he could be moving his feet all over the place. Against a black stage, you're not going to see that. So the white is just there to catch the light.
It's very interesting to me because Michael Jackson was so meticulous with like his thought process and like using like even those basic elements of like human psychology and like where our eye would catch and where we would look and all that stuff to contribute towards his performances on stage and in videos. And Michael Bush and Dennis Tompkins, I just want to get that like sorted because I know that we all are or a lot of us are familiar with Michael Bush. He had his book that he came out with called King of Style, which I don't know if that is still in print or not.
It's not, and I'm going to be having words with him early in the new year to try and republish that. It's like super expensive online now. I was looking recently to see if I could get another copy, and I was like, wow, this is a collectible now.
A lot of people are looking for it. Like I always see people for it. I was fortunate to get it. But he wrote a whole book because he worked with Michael. I believe the story was from Captain EO on through This Is It and all that. So, but he worked also with Dennis Tompkins, correct? They were a team at some point.
Tompkins and Bush were a like collaborative couple. Dennis was kind of almost the designer. Bush was kind of more the dresser and would be kind of more hands-on with the kind of the putting together of these things. But I think I would be right in saying that the creative side of the design, not completely, but for the majority of things would sit more with Dennis, and that's why Bush would be the one that would go out on tour with Michael and be his dresser. Dennis would stay home and be there working on the next project or the next tour or whatever they need next, basically.
Got it. Okay. And from what I know, and I think I've seen this written, and you shared this too, that Michael used to work with Bill Witten, and then he kind of switched over to Tompkins and Bush. Was there like a big difference or notable difference in style? Because to me in the naked eye, I'm like, I really am not sure, but there's got to have been something where like the fashion evolved when he moved to Tompkins and Bush.
I would say that in terms of, I mean, both creators are equally as talented, and I wouldn't really say that I have a preference. I think that Bill Witten had the kind of benefit of working with Michael, arguably in his prime. I would say the Victory Tour going up towards the Bad Tour is pretty much when Michael was kind of on top of his game, and he was young enough to wear heavier things. So, you know, he could wear a kind of 8 to 10 pound plus jacket that's covered from collar to waist in Swarovski crystals and sing live and get away with it. But as Michael got older, he was far more conscious and cautious of what he was wearing and why. So I think Tompkins and Bush kind of took the inspiration from what Bill Witten was doing, and they really did carry over that kind of military look. But when you compare what they were creating, the Bill Whitten stuff is heavy, and I mean really, really heavy stuff. I mean, I've held some of these things. It's like you think, Jesus, I wouldn't want to walk in this, let alone dance for 2 hours. Whereas, sorry.
And sorry, I was going to ask you, and are you referring to like a lot of the jackets, like the Victory Tour, like the silver and teal with gold
Yeah, exactly.
jacket?
Yeah, that kind of almost aqua colored jacket is one of my favorite things. It has a kind of almost floral pattern on it. You can't appreciate the detail in something like that until it's kind of up close in front of you. On screen and photographs, you can see there's detail there. But when you get close to something like that, and you can see, each one of these things, there's maybe 50 different types of crystal and bead just within that one jacket, different colors and textures, and it's the clothing pieces are almost kind of art pieces in themselves. Before they became kind of iconic for Michael Jackson, they're kind of they stand up alone, really.
I wish that I had had a chance to like see some of the pieces up close, because even at the exhibition, for me, it was like, at least in Tokyo when I went, it was close, but it was still far enough away for I would have to be like it's cool to see, but to have your experience where you actually got to hold it and really get a close look must have been great.
Yeah, I think the kind of the best the fans can do now, and actually where I got to see some of the Victory Tour things up close was in the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles. They do rotate it, but all of that stuff comes from the estate. So yeah, they've almost always got something Victory Tour related on display there, and the quality and the workmanship that's gone into those, it wasn't. People say, Bill Whitten made this. Actually, a team of about 10, 15 people were there. There'd be two ladies with a sleeve attaching crystals from one end until they met in the middle, and this, the stuff would all be put together later. Bill Whitten, not to take anything away from his creation, but there's a bigger picture when it comes to creating these things. He was the label.
Right. Okay. Speaking of the earlier years, I want to know if you can give us some information about the even earlier years. I am a big Michael Jackson fan, of course, but huge into the Jackson 5 as well. And I wanted to know from you, what are some key transitions that you think that we can note about Michael's style from the time he was in the Jackson 5 to Off the Wall and getting into that solo career?
As far as the Jackson 5 stuff, actually Bill Whitten made a lot of the Jackson 5 Jackson's stuff too. So he was working with the family and Michael from like very, very early days. I think generally speaking with the Jackson 5 stuff, you could see that, and obviously he's super young, so there wasn't a huge amount of Michael's kind of taste and preference coming through. A lot of it was just kind of, wear this. And kind of keeping the brothers all looking quite uniform. You often see them almost wearing identical clothing. And it's as he gets older and starts to kind of not step away, but kind of start defining himself and becoming like a young man and, developing his own taste and styles. It's there kind of the Triumph tour leading up to Off the Wall that things start to change in Michael's style, and he kind of starts to make it his own, I think. And yeah, I think it's not a secret that Michael, didn't want to do the Victory Tour. He wasn't kind of super on board with the whole thing and a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes. But you can tell that tour was very much him. When it comes to the style, he had the best outfits. He had everything was Bill Whitten, but I think words were had, and Michael stands out from everybody else on that stage, and for good reason.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. All those sparkly jackets. Like if I think about what the other brothers were wearing, and I'm a huge fan of all of them, I can't. Nothing really comes to mind as being
way less specific and way less kind of like and another kind of change that happened was on the Victory Tour. Although it did become quite regimented with the costumes, Michael would wear different things on different nights, certainly towards the beginning of the tour. So he was still developing his style. I think it's the first night of the Victory Tour, if not very early on. Bill made him these kind of black and white striped trousers that have some crystals going down the stripes. Michael hated it, and Bill said to him, wear it and see how you feel. And he never wore them again. And again, that then led to the kind of almost always wearing the black trousers that became kind of what you kind of, when you think of Michael Jackson on stage, aside from the gold pants, pretty much you're thinking of him in black.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you bring that up, because it's like, it's almost like the torso is like kind of like the thing to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the glove, and then there's the feet, but then his actual legs and stuff, they kind of almost faded into the background. It's a big part of the dance, but I wonder if that's part of kind of...
I mean, there's always something there. Like there was always like the tuxedo stripe on the trousers. So if he spins, you would catch that. On the Bad Tour, he had buckles and kind of belts and stuff that would kind of break up the solid black, so you could see the movement. So there's always something there that, whilst, yes, they are black, you can see something that just keeps your eye on the movement.
I love all the classic looks, but I wanted to ask you, because you're here, like, this is my perfect opportunity to ask a person that knows about it, because I am a big fan of Working Day and Night Live on every single tour.
Yeah.
And I need to know information about my favorite outfit, which is the breakaway jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if it was a breakaway the first couple times, but at some point it was like a jumpsuit that he could just rip off.
Even on the even on the Victory tour, it's a red kind of a PVC kind of. It's a very strange fabric which has not survived well. If you ever see pictures of those Victory Tour jumpsuits, they're kind of cracked because it's kind of coated in a plastic to make it shiny, and they are not holding up well, those things. But again, it wasn't supposed to be in someone's living room in 2024. It was supposed to look cool on stage in the 80s, and it did. So it served its purpose,
Yes, I want to know, okay, do you know what the purpose was for it being a breakaway, or like functionality?
Speed of kind of transition into other songs. So pretty much for all of his kind of adult live performances, the set list would almost always, aside from the History Tour, be Working Day and Night. From the Victory Tour all the way through to the Dangerous Tour would be Working Day and Night going into Beat It. And that transition would happen very quickly, and they would incorporate some kind of illusion or sleight of hand trick that would divert your attention away, so he could appear somewhere else on the stage or on a cherry picker. He'd actually be wearing the majority of the Beat It outfit, minus the jacket, under that jumpsuit. So he had the black pants on already, the white t-shirt, almost ready to go. So it was just, everything is Velcro. So you could pretty much grab it and just pull, and the whole thing would just kind of fall to pieces. He could throw the jacket on and appear at the other end of the stage on the cherry picker and fly up across the audience. So it was just a quick change technique.
That functionality that you mentioned, I didn't realize how much it actually factored in.
Deeply ingrained into things. Yeah, is also one of the things that led to some issues on the This Is It shows. They brought in another designer. I spoke to Bush about this, and I remember he actually said to me, did you prefer his stuff? And I said, absolutely not. He said, did you prefer any of his things? And I said, in all honesty, the only thing that the other designer created is Zaudi is his name. He's a very talented person. He's actually made all of the costumes for the Vegas Cirque show. So he's still involved in the kind of process. And I said to Bush, Zaudi's Dangerous suit for 2009, which I'll give you some photos of to include, is stunning. And he's actually incorporated the design that he used for that. It's kind of this kind of crisscross elastic rope design going all over. He's incorporated that into a lot of the Cirque costumes. So there's a bit of a transition of that design. And Bush himself said the things that Zaudi made were beautiful, but they weren't for the stage, and they certainly weren't for a 50-year-old Michael in his condition. You know, he wasn't ready to wear a 10-pound studded leather jacket to
Right.
perform Black or White. And also, it wouldn't have worked on, again, lots of functionality reasons. For example, he was going to arrive on the stage in Lightman, the robot that was going to kind of crack open and reveal him. And nobody apparently paused to think that the massive shoulders that were on the jacket for that didn't even fit into that prop. It would never have worked. You know, there's so,
Man.
like, there was just no communication. The whole show was being kind of pulled together. And again, you know, Black or White, the bridge of that song, he's always stood with his guitarist in the smoke machine with the wind coming up. If you're wearing a studded leather jacket, that thing's not going to be fluttering around like he wants it to. It's going to stay rigid and make standing at a wind machine futile. It's that functionality that just wasn't there. It would have been great for a photo shoot. It just wasn't stage wear. Not for him at that time.
It sounds like to be the fashion designer, to be on that team, you would have had to understand Michael's stage show. You would have had to also understand like his own personal preferences, right?
Yeah.
I think I remember reading in Michael Bush's book that the fabric that they used for those like shirts that were supposed to flutter was like a specific type of light. Was it a silk or something like that?
Yeah.
Very light.
It's a Chinese silk, or China silk is the name of the fabric. And the first interaction with that I had was while setting up the London exhibition, opening a suitcase and realizing that I had the actual short film Dirty Diana outfit in front of me. And
Ooh, I got the chills. I just got the chills. Like, I can't even imagine.
yeah, you know, it had everything was in there, and I pulled out the shirt, and we hung it on a mannequin just to kind of let it sit. And even if you just kind of lifted the kind of bottom of the shirt outwards and let it go, it wouldn't do what my shirt would do and just fall back into place. It would almost kind of sigh back into position. It had a constant movement to it. And then to add to that, those shirts were cut longer. So if you watch any kind of Dirty Diana or kind of any kind of white shirt performance that Michael's doing, the shirts are cut way longer than any kind of dress shirt that you'd buy off the shelf. So that when he's running around, it's almost that kind of Batman cape kind of thing where it's catching in the wind and kind of floating up behind him. Like every single decision made within his costuming had purpose and thought.
Now, when you were, because you mentioned now coming across the Dirty Diana outfit and being like, wow, was there like a specific favorite outfit that you had that you came across?
A favorite for me, whilst it's, again, it doesn't reflect great on the low quality footage that we have access to, but the 88, 89 Thriller jacket that lights up and is also totally beaded. That thing is like it's almost close to the Bill Whitton Victory Tour stuff. Like you can barely see the thing for crystals and you know it's got lights built into it, and the thing weighed a ton. It's in Bush's book. I think it was like 15 pounds or something like that. It's like,
Wow.
And you can see it when halfway through the song, Bush comes out and puts it on Michael during the choreography for Thriller. The thing just doesn't move at all. Like it just stays totally solid on him. Even when he's like reaching out to the side, it just doesn't work with him. And it looked great on the tour and it looked great in the photos. But again, later tours, you know, they moved away from incorporating lighted elements into costumes because it looks good, but it was eating into that kind of functionality and practicality for him, which was always at the front of kind of what they were trying to do.
Now I like want to go back and look at those video clips and look at the jacket.
It just looks like a sparkly jacket, like on the Bad 25 DVD. It just looks like a sparkly jacket, but seeing it up close, the pattern to it, they're in like a star shape. Each kind of crystal is sewn in a certain pattern in a zigzag, and it's leather too, so it's not as quick as just sewing. You know, each hole's punched, sewn, done, move on. You know, the craftsmanship is on a different tier.
Wow. I I will say that there was only one outfit that I got to see and experience very up close, and this is at a it was also at a Julien's auction. I'm not remembering the year, but maybe 2015, 18. Leave Me Alone jacket. I saw that up close and personal in New York.
Yeah,
And that was no, one of the things that I never realized was how small Michael Jackson's stature really was.
yeah,
Like looking at the tours and stuff, especially because I was a fan growing up, I always looked at Michael like he was like a giant of some sorts. And then when you actually look at the jacket in person, you're like, oh wait. I was like, I don't even know if I can fit this. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think he would kind of float somewhere around a 28, 29 inch waist. That's small. That's super, super small. And in fact, Bush actually said on kind of later tours, sort of Dangerous History, the trousers that they would put him in would actually have smaller waistline throughout the evening because he would sweat so much water out that the trousers would get tighter by the end of the show because he was actually losing weight through sweating it out as the show went through.
That just shows you like how hard Michael was working on that stage.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Um, okay, so I know we've talked a lot about tours. Are there any like because I mean he has so many music videos, so many short films. Like short films for the sensitive crowd. No, I know they're short films to him
I'm
too.
being
So
very careful with my words to not say music video.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to think of like any of my favorites. Like I love the Remember the Time outfit, and um, to me that was like stands out in my mind as something special. The Billie Jean leather outfit, where he had the pink shirt. Like so many outfits stand out. Um, are there any ones that like stand out to you that you feel like are notable for, or have any fun stories behind them?
For me, the the outfits that are less stand out to me more because we're so used to seeing him in kind of glitzy military looks that when he did occasionally wear something that wasn't, that comes to mind first. Like if I could own any outfit, I would want to own it in the closet. Just the white vest. But there's, even then, it's not as simple as people think. The pants to that outfit are suede, so they're heavy, and up until and inside, up until I think it's just past the knee, or maybe just down to the knee. I forget now. But they were lined in silk, so that when he was dancing, the suede wouldn't stick to his legs while he's dancing, so it still allowed that freedom of movement to him.
Wow.
And again,
I thought they were jeans. This whole time I thought they were like black jeans.
they are cut to Levi's, but remade in suede by Tompkins and Bush. So
Wow.
it's a jean cut, but they're a bespoke creation. In fact, I've got a painting of him in that outfit behind me. I don't know. You can probably see it on my wall, just here.
Oh, the middle painting, right?
Yeah, it's like a cartoon that my friend painted for me of him and Naomi together.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And I think at that same auction that I was at, or I feel like it was at that same auction, they might have auctioned that outfit
Okay.
off. Really like you said, just like things that you never think about. Honestly, this whole time I thought that was a pair of jeans and like an undershirt, like
Yeah.
a Hanes undershirt. That's what it looked like to me.
And same thing with like, who is it? It's just a black suit. You know, things we weren't used to seeing him in stand out because he made him wearing something normal wasn't normal for us to see him in. So again, stood out for almost reverse reason.
I love that. I just love talking about Michael's fashion, just something that has influenced people for generations and still is. Like you see people, the fashion designers coming out with Michael Jackson inspired collections and all that.
Yeah.
I think just to close this out, because you've shared so many great tidbits, and I feel like who knows, we could probably have another conversation sometime in the
I'm
future
sure
about
we
more
will.
stuff. Yeah, because you have such a wealth of knowledge about this. But I want to know from you, like, what do you think Michael Jackson's lasting legacy will be in fashion? Um,
Wow,
yeah.
that's a big question. I mean, there aren't many artists out there, and I don't think there will be coming up in the future who, you know, people not only reference in terms of kind of stage costumes. You know, Usher recently at his Super Bowl show, you know, he had a glove of sorts incorporated into his costume. Beyonce wore a copy of the Jam jacket when she did the Super Bowl with Bruno Mars and Coldplay. Yeah, there aren't many people that influence fashion in such a way that it continues. It's kind of actually gone into culture. You know, some people who have fancy dress costumes of certain things, of certain looks of prints, but it's gone way beyond that with what Michael did for fashion, and it's really difficult to put into words. But yeah, he's certainly kind of influenced. I mean, even me wearing this corduroy shirt right now is his favorite fabric. I wouldn't have probably bought that shirt without him. You know, just there's so many kind of not just references, but yeah, it's everywhere.
I will say that like one of my favorite things to do when I get dressed up is to get a glittery or sparkly, not quite Swarovski crystals, but sequins or whatever I can get because I feel like, oh, it's fancy. It's like Michael-esque. I just remembered. Do you have the Swarovski crystals
I do.
that you wanted to show us?
Let me pause for a second, and I will go and grab those for you.
Okay, so you're back with the crystals. You've got some
Yes.
goodies to show us. So let's see.
So I was just explaining to you kind of off camera before that these have actually been sent to me thanks to having the MJ's Got the Look page. Get to meet lots and lots of people who have kind of been involved with the creation, and the lady who worked for Bill Whittam during the Victory Tour and around that era into the Bad Tour. The lady who sewed the Swarovski crystals onto the gloves, jackets, and anything else that they could put them on. She's still around, but her granddaughter now runs the studio for her, and so she sent me these. So these are kind of from the original studio that worked on the Victory Tour stuff for Bill Whittam.
Wow.
So yeah, really really cool things to own. For example, this glove here, they created a range of kind of fantasy gloves for Michael, and then we have one of the little Swarovski stars there, and hopefully it's catching
Yes.
the light, and I will get some close-ups at some point for you to use as well. Then this is kind of the coolest thing, I think. So this here, this really does catch the light.
Oh, wow.
That is called a Loch Rosen crystal, and that's one of the actual glove crystals. The picture's almost life size, so you can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of when you see them in front of you, they really kind of bounce the light off. They're glass, and they kind of have a silver backing to them, so that the front kind of reflects in all different directions and creates lots of different colours.
And Michael was wearing a bunch of those, like
Thousands,
hundreds of
yeah,
thousands
yeah,
of them on his
yeah,
hand.
yeah. So these things are you know, and he'd actually ask Bush sometimes to drive up to Neverland with just a box full of Swarovski crystals, like just a box full of these, because he just loved to look at them. Like, and yeah, I kind of get it, to be honest. They're really fun. There's also this huge one here. These.
Oh, that's so fancy.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much, to be honest. These were used. It's actually an even bigger one of these were used on the sash for the Victory Tour. You know, the one that would go over the jacket, the different coloured ones.
Yes.
And it appears on. If I can find this quickly enough, I think it's going to be back here. So this jacket here, you can see them kind of lost in among the design there. And I've actually taken close-up pictures of this jacket myself, so I will give those to you to include in the video. But yeah, you can really see the detail from that one.
That's outstanding. It makes me have a bigger appreciation for what Michael has brought to the fashion game because wearing all that heavy stuff, it's a lot. And here I was thinking they were sequins.
Interestingly, they did move away from the heavier stuff because I mean, no, this doesn't weigh much, but when you have 3,000 of them on your shoulders,
Right.
So yeah, they tried to. Tompkins and Bush kind of took on the challenge of moving away from the heavy, cumbersome stones and incorporating fabrics that emanated the kind of reflective nature without the weight of glass being incorporated into costumes. I did have one other thing to show you actually.
Yeah, please.
This is my copy of the King of Style that Bush gave to me. And he gave this to me on the last day of the exhibition. And it was only when I got back to London that I realised the meaning of what he'd written in this book. So MJ signed this to Bush, and if you can see down the bottom there, it says, "To Bush, I needed your help. And thanks." And I didn't spot that. And so until I got back to London, and Bush wrote the exact same thing in the book to me all these years later. So I've got to Shane, love Michael Bush, I needed your help.
Wow. That is so cool.
So
what an honor.
And yeah, it had a lot more meaning because I thought it was cute, and then I saw it in the book weeks later, and I said, "Oh, wow, okay, that's really cool." It's almost like passing the baton, almost,
Yeah. That is, I just loved hearing about your experiences. I mean, what an amazing experience just to have all this knowledge about the costumes and then go into working with Michael Bush for this, helping out at the exhibition and now launching your page. I want to just, I guess, close out this conversation by saying thank you because for me, it's a real treat to talk to not only other fans, but other people that have expertise in certain areas. And it's rare that you find someone that knows as much as you do about the fashion.
I do my best. I still make mistakes, but I do my best.
Yeah. No. I mean, this has been awesome. So if people want to learn more, where again can they find you online?
So at the moment, just an Instagram page. It's at MJ's Got the Look. And try to post as close to weekly as I can.
Well, hey, I mean, as soon as you follow the page, there's going to be an archive of stuff to look at, which is really, really great about all these Instagram and the pages. People can just click follow, and then all of a sudden they can go back in time and see all the stuff you've posted.
At some point, the goal is a book of some sort. If ideally, I would like for Bush to republish King of Style, but update it with some additional things, because he actually did have the idea of making it like a touch feel book where it'd have samples of some fabrics in it and you could really get hands on. Something like that. If I will have a polite word, and hopefully we can make something happen.
Yes, please let him know that we would love that. That touch feel thing, that would be so cool. Because with the China silk, I would have never imagined the Dirty Diana shirt to be that. I would just think it was a cotton button down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And some of the things are so strange as well, but in such a cool way. Like the Dangerous to a Beat It jacket is made from fish.
Fish?
Yeah, it's made from Chilean sea bass. And it's only when you look closely at it that you can see the scales. And it's like, okay, yeah, it is.
What?
Yeah.
My mind is blown right now. And I'm like, okay, I should have. It's funny because it's a running joke because I'm not a big fan of the song Beat It. So people always Yeah. He's about that. And I'm like, okay, if I had liked that song more, maybe I would have asked you about that. We could have gotten some better information about the Chileans. Yeah. Thank you, Shane, for being here. Make sure you guys follow him at MJ's Got the Look on Instagram. If you're interested in some more, check out King of Style, right? Michael Bush's book.
If you can find it, yeah, it's a bit of an antique now, but yeah, it's a good investment. It's a great coffee table book.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.